Well, hello there, Danny.
Hello.
All right, let's go ahead. I'm gonna swap the screens here. Uh, Chat, I apologize. The bedroom's a little messy. I just got back home from work, and I had to immediately change out of clothes, and it's at night, so that's why I'm looking a little crispy and blurry. Danny over here is still looking like absolute perfection, which I'm mad jealous about, but it is what it is. Um, oh my god, I need to dust this shit. Oh god, why did I do that? Fuck! I wiped the top of my fucking TV thinking that it wasn't going to be gross. It was, in fact, mad gross. How are you doing, Danny?
Doing good. There's a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, so I don't have the blog post up for this week. Would you mind actually sending me the blog post? Is there anything super hard that we need to cover on it?
Oh yeah, they're reworking some core stuff.
Oh, fuck. All right, yeah, send me the blog post. So that way I can. Beautiful. I'm gonna pull that up. All right. So, what do you think we should do first, the blog post or the TWAB?
I think the blog post is probably a little more important this week actually.
All right, then let's do the blog post then. So let me swap screens here. Baboosh. All right. So, let's just quickly go over it. So for the blog post, basically, for those of you wondering why we're including the blog post, it's because the TWAB obviously is this week at Bungie. It's kind of incorporating a lot of the other stuff that's not, you know, just gameplay. Whereas the blog post, at least the ones leading up to Lightfall, are going to be very heavily gameplay based. That's why we're looking at it specifically. And from casual standpoints, these are actually pretty important for both me and Danny to discuss. So again, I apologize. Mind the messiness of the bedroom. I didn't make my bed this morning because I was a little bit lazy. So sorry. So let's get right into it. So, to abilities and beyond, a look at the past, present, and future of 3.0. So the road traveled and the path ahead. You know what, Danny? Since you've already read over the blog post, I'm gonna let you handle basically what they're covering, and if you wouldn't mind covering it in order, if possible, that way I can kind of
Yeah,
show the screen a wee bit.
they have condensed it pretty well for this. Basically, when Lightfall drops, the efficacy of discipline, strength, and each class ability stat on grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration rates are being rescaled.
Yeah,
So, basically, regeneration, as it is now, tier 10 regeneration, is pretty strong. Come Lightfall, it will basically be the equivalent of tier 8 in the current system. So, it's getting toned down pretty significantly.
that's actually kind of disgusting. That means that, and I hate to say this from the casual standpoint, that means that the single 100 stats that you've got are not going to be nearly as important as having several level 100 stats. So, because obviously in the past, the past couple seasons, we've been seeing more and more people now um, with all of the mods and all of the bonuses they can get, seeing
That
people run.
quest for the triple 100 stat
Yeah,
armor.
those are going to be even more prevalent now, so that way you have easier rotations. Um, and I think that's actually going to hurt some of the classes more than others. Uh,
Like,
I mean,
primarily, initially with this change, it affects everyone, but the people that farmed and grinded super hard for 300 stat armor pieces, yeah, that was kind of a waste of time now.
yeah, well, and not just that. I feel like specific classes are going to be heavily affected, right? Because I would like to argue that for the most part, hunter supers are relatively easy to charge. Some titans, I think warlock's going to be hurt by
Bubble.
the nerf on the intellect. Um,
Bubble.
yeah, bubble. Well, bubble also got bubble during the void change got changed to where it charges a lot faster now. So with it dropping from a 10 to an 8, basically calling it on our current system, right?
Yep.
It's not nearly as bad. because the cooldown already got reduced when they changed it for Void 3.0. So I don't think it's going to affect it that bad. I think the biggest ones that are going to be changed are, in my opinion, I think so here are the ones that I think are going to be bad. I think Well is going to be almost impossible to charge up in between encounters without a raid banner. For warlocks, for solar warlocks, because that's going to be the big one for raids, and like everyday usage. I think Hunter Blade Barrage is going to be pretty hurt. I mean, honestly, like I don't know how I feel about this. Like, don't get me wrong.
Here's the fun thing, though.
What's that?
This only affects armor stats.
What do you mean?
They're basically what they're doing with this. They're trying to take the armor stats out of the equation for ability and super recharge times.
Which means you're gonna have to play with mods a lot more.
Mods are going to affect them a lot more than your armor stats will.
Which makes a lot more sense because this will be. I mean, this is. I mean, let's be real here, Danny. This is probably the first time that we've had such a large overhaul of the mods
Yeah.
done. Because
This
normally
is a
we just
huge overhaul.
yeah. Because I mean, before we've had mods obviously put in, right? Like, Warmind Cells was the big one for a long time, and then Charged with Light kind of took over, and then most recently was the Elemental Well build. Um, and now that they're making mods a lot more prevalent, the actual individual armor stats are going to be a lot hurt, and now you're going to have to build with mods a lot more. Though, I guess in that regard, I'm a little bit thankful because it gives players a little bit more creativity than just stack a bunch of a certain stat and just spam the fuck out of that stat.
Yep.
Right? Like,
It's going to be a lot more customizable, I feel like.
yeah. I mean, it's still gonna hurt the overall charge rate. Like, obviously, the supers that you are gonna want to use on a regular basis, are gonna hurt. So I think actually, now that I think about it, the exotic armor pieces that provide regen or bonuses to stats are going to be even more apparent, right? Like
They're getting indirect buffs.
yeah, like for example, Starfire Protocol having a second solar fusion grenade is going to be massive, right?
Yep.
I mean, Nezarec Sin for Void Warlock is going to be a pretty big thing. It's going to be almost a necessity for Void builds if you're not running Controverse Hold,
Yep.
right?
Which,
So
like, overall, I think this is a good indirect buff to those exotic armor pieces. It gives them more of a purpose in build crafting.
yeah, no, if they could just fucking unnerf Skull of Amkara and fucking Geomag stabilizers, then we can talk. Um, uh, yeah,
Yeah.
Bungie, please unnerf the fucking Warlock exotics for fuck's sake, man.
And here's where the fun thing starts. Each stat tier now provides a more consistent gain in cooldown reduction rather than spiking heavily at low tiers.
Yeah, so instead of just getting like, cause what was the key one? It was like I think it was tier 5 is when it started to drop, right? You
Yeah,
got to tier 5, and then tier 5 to 6 was where it was bad.
Yeah, tier 5 is when you started getting diminishing returns.
Yeah,
Now it should be more consistent through all tiers.
which I definitely think is a good thing. Which means if obviously if you're running like for example, I have several of my gear pieces which are like I have like at least one level 100 stat or very close to it, and then several like level 80 stats. Is going to be at least a little bit more worth it overall, so it's going to make it a little bit
Yeah.
better. So it's worse for the higher tier, but it's better for the stats that are in the middle tier to kind of help balance everything out. So I don't think that's terrible.
Like, overall, I think these changes are going to make the entry point for people a lot easier.
Yeah. And then we're also going to be seeing ability generating mods. You're going to be able to socket multiple copies of them, so that way they
Yeah.
actually provide stacking bonuses, which that I think is also very good because again that'll kind of help cut part of that. Like bomber is the more damage you do with the grenade, or right, bomber's the one that involves like the more damage you do with the grenade, the more energy you get back
I
for.
think
Correct?
Bomber, I think, is the one that you do damage with your grenade, you get melee energy, and Outreach is the opposite. The
Right.
best one on this list, though, hands down, is Ashes to Assets.
Now remind me, what is that one again?
Grenade kills grant super energy.
Oh yeah, well, and especially with the light subclass rework, a lot of grenades. That is the one thing that I will say from the light subclass rework is that all of the grenades feel very good to use, and almost every single class has a spammable grenade build.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You can get
so
your grenade energy back real fast.
yeah, so that's very interesting. I'm very excited to play around with that. Though I'm just gonna be afraid that dungeons are just gonna be grenade spam. And if it is, I guarantee you that Bungie will probably nerf it in the future.
Like they're currently tweaking things. I feel like baking in a lot of the anti-champion mods into the subclasses is going to help a lot for in-game content.
Yeah, because that basically frees up your gloves for at least one additional mod. Because let's be real, how many of us put 2 champion mods on our gloves and then feel very sad because we can't put literally any other
Yep.
mods on them?
Or like this season when you had the choice between having unstoppable hand cannon or unstoppable grenade launcher.
Yeah, because in my opinion, they're both really good. And
Yep.
that's in my opinion. They should never make anything else unstoppable. Those two were just amazing.
It's like the fact that they added a debuff on top of the grenade launchers made them kind of like an almost given in in-game content.
Yeah, and combined with stuff like blinding grenades, and especially the impact grenade
Yep.
launchers were pretty gross. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of them running around. Um, and the
And Wither Horde.
Wither Horde, and the amount of blinding grenades and the amount of the old school, the one that the grenade launcher that I will always go back to when I am using a special grenade launcher is going to be Truth Teller. The Season of Arrival's grenade launcher, just because it's too damn good. It just had really good perks on it.
That
So,
one ignition code was also really strong because
oh,
it had slide shot.
oh my god, yeah, disgusting. Um, And then on top of that, we're going to see armor mod synergy costs have been reduced across the board, and artifact mods no longer need to be slotted into your armor, giving you more space to build craft to your heart's content. Uh, that
Really good change.
that is a phenomenal change, 100% a phenomenal change. Now, here's my question: how is that going to affect artifice armor?
Artifice armor, they talked about lightly. Those extra slots where you would put mods, they are going to be used for like extra intellect, extra strength, discipline, stuff like that.
That's
So
going to
you
be really
basically
cool.
just get stats for free.
That's nice. It's good to see that. Along with that, they're changing some base cooldowns of some abilities. The ones here are going to be Marksman's Dodge, base cooldown reduced from 34 seconds to 29 seconds, and Gambler's Dodge reduced from 46 seconds to 38 seconds. I.e., yet again, another Hunter buff. Who would have guessed?
Uh, they just reverted the nerf since they're changing how armor stats work.
Wait. When did these get
They just
nerfed?
they got nerfed this season.
What?
Yeah, they nerfed them at the beginning of the season,
When
and
did I miss
they
that,
just
TWAB?
yeah, they nerfed them at like the beginning of the season, and then they're like, okay, now that we're turning the cooldowns of everything like up, we can put those back.
What the? What TWAB was that? I must have missed that TWAB. The hell?
I think it might have been right before the season. They were like,
Oh,
we're
Jesus.
doing this basically to kind of like nerf invis hunters.
Oh, right, yeah,
Yeah,
because we all know the pain of that, of that and fucking yeah,
and then it
because you could
became
dodge
nothing but
literally
bubbles.
every, well, yeah, because the Invis Hunter, you were
Its
basically almost,
uptime was too long.
yeah, and by the time you came out of it, uh, you had it back up again. So,
Yeah,
When in Rome, if you want to just cover this real quick, Danny, for me.
Roaming supers, they're increasing the maximum number of orbs they can generate from 5 to 7, which they should have been able to do that from the beginning. It's good. One-off supers are being decreased from 7 to 5, so they're basically just swapping those. The important note, the orb generation for Well of Radiance, Ward of Dawn, and Shadow Shot will not be changed.
Which is, in my opinion, incredibly important because those three are the utility supers that are most often used in raids. I mean,
Exactly.
so the fact that they specifically state that makes me feel a little bit better.
It gets
Um,
better.
yeah, we're also making a change to the only three supers in our longest cooldown tier, reducing their base cooldown by one tier, which is Hammer of Soul, Daybreak, and Spectral Blades. Their base cooldown will be reduced from 10 minutes and 25 seconds to 9 minutes and 16 seconds over a minute long buff. That's pretty significant, in
And
my
it
opinion.
gets better.
No, there's no way that they actually buffed. Did they really buff Daybreak? Did they finally
Look
actually
at all these changes, by the way.
Holy shit, what are these? What the fuck? Alright, let's just go through these numbers real quick. Word of Dawn, maximum health reduced from 13,500 to 8k. Wow, that is a significant fucking nerf on that.
So, Titans in PvP, you're getting what you deserve
Oh, this is
with
the
that.
this is the PvP. This is strictly for PvP.
It's also being reduced in PvE, but combatants are going to be doing reduced damage to compensate. So it's going to have the same effective health in PvE,
I
but
mean,
it's basically killing it in PvP.
which is a good thing, because the only super that could one-shot a Ward of Dawn, was Nova Bomb. Legit, that was the only reason why. That was the only thing that you could do against Bubble was one-shot it with Nova Bomb, and either Nova Bomb worked. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Because it's a lot easier to deal with 8,000 damage than it is 13.5k damage.
And if that wasn't enough, they're reducing the damage buff that Ward of Dawn does in PvP.
So standardize the damage dealt by each type of kinetic and energy weapon against the ward itself. Previously, energy weapons did 2.5 damage to Ward of Dawn, and kinetic weapons did 1 times damage. Now, regardless of damage type, all weapons do 1.5 damage to the ward. Another good buff. It's a nerf to energy weapons, but it's a buff to kinetic weapons, which has kind of been the motto of Bungie the past like 3 weeks that we've done these TWABs. Is they really want people to use kinetic, like standard kinetic primary ammo again, which, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really mad about. I don't
They've
think.
been in the shade for a long time.
Yeah, I mean the biggest ones I think are uh kinetic auto rifles, kinetic auto rifles, submachine guns, and God,
Pulses.
because I think
Definitely pulses.
pulses, yeah, scouts, also another one.
Be
Um,
anything that uses primary ammo.
with the exception, I think, of hand cannons. I think I
Yeah.
think primary hand cannons are the only thing that really didn't suffer that used primary ammo.
And now they're all getting buff, basically.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Along with that, Armor of Light has been updated to reduce its potency in PvP. So the maximum health is reduced from 425 to 300. It now inherits Void Overshield's 50% PvE damage resistance and no longer negates precision damage. So kind of an interesting trade-off that it just straight up gives you a 50% damage resistance, which is kind of nice, in exchange for lowering the health and precision damage.
Is a good PvE buff and a great PvP nerf. Because
Yes.
now you can headshot people with the Void Overshield.
Yeah. So that actually does feel incredibly good. And I think, and I hate to say it, but it was definitely a necessary evil. Because let's be honest. Void Titans have kind of been ruining PvP for literally everybody.
Any control point game mode is just not fun because bubbles exist.
Yeah. So that's super good. Similarly, Thunder Crash is proving to be too difficult to counter or escape in high-level Crucible modes. So they're reducing it to Ash. They reduced the maximum flight time from 5 seconds to 4.5 seconds. Now, is that strictly for PvP or is that also PvE?
I think that's in total, but
Oh,
PvE you're not going to notice it as badly because let's be honest, that's a lot of flight time.
I mean, yeah. The other thing though is,
The other changes are what's really going to affect it in PvE.
yeah, I think the only difference, like, I think the main one that a lot of people will see that is the ship jump in
Yep.
King's Fall. You may not be able to clear it now because of that 0.5 second change.
Oh, that's not why you won't be able to clear it. The next ones will be.
So they reduced size of the damaging volume around the player while in flight by 20% and pushed it further forward in front of the player to make flyby disintegrations more intentional. That's nice. Descent now begins earlier. Oh my god. Oh no.
Yeah.
They reduced the landing detonation size versus players by around 20% and unchanged versus PvE targets. That's good to know. And then Fists of Havoc, the PvE damage is increased by 20%. That is a nice little change.
Yeah.
Um,
Roaming
but
super returning.
but wow, Thunder Crash, wow, you're not actually going to be able to fly across the map anymore. That's
Oh,
disgusting. So, Danny, do you want to tell Buddha about this change, or do you want me to? Because Buddha's the only one that we know of. For those of you wondering, Raging Buddha is one of our buddies that we normally play the Destiny 2 with, who is a Titan main, because he's a moron. And he loves Thunder Crash. He kind of abuses it on a daily basis. So yeah, do you want to be the one to tell him about the nerfs, or do you want me to, Danny?
that's gonna be something because unless you're jumping downwards, it's not gonna be the best. It's still gonna be better than nothing, but it's definitely not going to be as good.
Yeah, it's gonna be more of a oh shit I fucked up more than a I'm just gonna skip the entire mechanic.
I'll have Strand for that. So
Yeah, I was about to say. You know what? I was about to say. Wait a second. King's Fall ship jump is about to get a lot easier with Strand.
that's gonna be so nice.
Oh my God, Sawa might actually be able to clear a jumping puzzle now.
And they're also like down here.
Sorry,
I
Sawa.
noticed
Sorry.
they're also like nerfing spark resistance.
Remind me, what the hell is that again?
Well, it's one of the fragments in the Arc 3.0 subclass that gives you extra resistance when you're surrounded by enemies.
Ah, right. Forgot. That's an arc thing. Because I don't use it. Because Warlock arc is
Yeah,
trash.
the thing that made Titans stronger than they already were.
Yeah, so they increased the nearby enemy count requirement for activation from 2 to 3, and they reduced the linger time when you're no longer surrounded from 4 to 2. So that's a pretty significant nerf.
It
Uh,
is.
that's a
It's a pretty big nerf.
yeah, and then we're gonna get into Daybreak, which
The one that makes you happy.
yeah, super energy cost reduced from 10% to 6.5% per swing, and increased PVE damage by 25%. What the
Break out the
fuck?
Dawn Chorus helmets. Daybreak might
Oh,
be usable in PvE.
oh my god, and I just farmed one last month. Let's fucking go.
Wait, there's more.
Yes, I see something about Phoenix Dive. Let me see this. The base cooldown has been reduced from 82 to 55 seconds. While Heat Rises is active, Phoenix Dive's restoration duration is increased from 1 second to 3 seconds. While Daybreak is active, Phoenix Dive's cooldown is significantly reduced, allowing for rapid reactivations. And while Daybreak is active, Phoenix Dive's detonation maximum damage increased from 80 to 220. What? What the?
After all this
Let's
time,
go!
they
Let's
finally
go!
buffed Daybreak.
It's a beautiful day, Danny. It's so beautiful.
They finally
Oh,
buffed it. And guess what? it gets even better. Not for
Oh,
Daybreak, but for the gameplay as a whole. With the
oh,
next section,
give me a moment. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cry, dude. I'm gonna cry, homie. I'm gonna cry. Oh,
Lightfall is for real the quality of life
oh.
update.
Daybreak is no longer a dead fucking super. Oh my god. That's beautiful.
It's getting a hardy buff, and I'm happy.
Oh my
It
god.
needed it.
It's been dog shit before the 3.0 subclass.
It was always buried under Well. As soon as Well became like a super, it was
Yeah,
just dead.
yeah, this is such a huge quality of life change for for Daybreak for Solar Warlocks because this Phoenix Dive got massive buffs. So it's like it actually gives us a reason to run it not you know not during
Yep.
like a good portion of the dungeon when you don't
And
need well. Like if you
also, if you have the Rain of Fire boots, you're eating good right now.
yeah, I'm gonna need to go farm me a pair of those some point this week.
That auto reload's gonna come in nice.
Yeah, whenever you Icarus dash, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be nuts. I'm actually gonna make well, yeah, with the and then with the new save build sets, you can actually hot swap between them.
Yep.
I really hope it saves which specific super and like fragments that you have in that subclass, because that will actually even make it better. So that way you can just hot swap to it immediately and not have to worry about it. That'll be really nice. Now, with that being said, crash test Guardians. Pretty soon, Guardians are getting a little sturdier. Starting in Lightfall, physics collision damage will no longer be lethal to Guardians. Fall damage will still be lethal when Lightfall launches, but we plan to also make that non-lethal in a mid-season update. You'll still take damage from physics collision, but it will generally leave you at 1 HP instead of outright splattering you.
So, uh, have you ever been killed by a phalanx shoving you into a wall?
You may be entitled to compensation.
Or have you had a teammate that's had a sword that has eager edge and they've launched you into the wall at Mach speed? Congratulations, you're no longer going to die from that.
You're now titled to compensation. Oh my god, that's amazing. That's a good change. That's a solid change. New tools in the arsenal. As part of our build crafting enhancements in Lightfall, we'll be adding some new fragments. And I'll just
These are fucking strong, by the way.
so they're going to be changing a lot of them, specifically more towards the solar and void, void breaches and fire sprites. So we're just going to
I
quickly go over these and kind of just go through them and this is to all classes, correct? Everyone's getting these fragments. Yes, Danny?
all of these will be for all of the classes. Arcs are kind of like okay, they're interesting.
Yeah, so for arcs, it is.
Solars.
Yeah, so for Spark, so Arc has Spark of Instinct, which is new. So that is when critically wounded, taking damage from nearby enemies emits a burst of damaging arc energy that jolts targets. Isn't that the one arc exotic?
Basically, kinda.
So can they please fucking rework that to not be a piece of shit?
It's probably gonna stack.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
these are gonna be
terrifying.
like indirect buffs.
Oh, that's gross. And then Spark of Haste. You will have greatly increased resilience, recovery, and mobility while sprinting. Actually, that's a pretty solid one. I think that's just a really good overall good utility one. That might actually I would actually probably use that. Cuz that actually seems kind of fun.
And then we
Um
get to the ones that are actually probably going to be really strong.
oh my god, there's a fuck ton of them for solar. What the fuck? So, solar is going to get Fire Sprite. Fire Sprites are created by a suite of new and existing solar fragments and grant grenade energy on pickup. What the fuck?
It gets better.
Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. Picking up a Fire Sprite grants restoration. Ember of Resolve. Solar Grenade Final Blows cure you. What the fuck is cure?
I don't know, but Ember of Mercy is probably going to be a pretty strong fragment.
I'm curious as to what that wording is. Cure you. Final blows cures you.
I'm gonna assume that what that means is it like gets rid of any negative effects.
That'd be kind of insane because there's a lot of debuffs that are in
Yep.
games. Ember of Tempering, which is not a new one. This is an existing one. It will now create a fire sprite on solar weapon kills while active, in addition to its other effects. Ember of Combustion now creates a fire sprite and on solar super defeats, in addition to its original effects. And Ember of Searing now creates a fire sprite when defeating scorched targets, in addition to its original effects. So you'll basically get kind of two builds. You'll get the Scorch builds, and then you'll get the Fire Sprite builds.
Yep.
I'm actually very excited to try these Fire Sprite builds because this is interesting because it's kind of like a mini elemental well, basically, isn't that?
It's funny that you mention that because that's what's going to feed into the charged armor mods.
Oh, that's gonna be
This is why
really.
these fragments are coming in because they're getting rid of the ability to create elemental wells since they're combining them with the charged armor. So this is just taking the place of the wells.
Which is nice because now it's instead of a mod, it's now built into the fragments. So
Yep.
you'll have that. Which if I'm gonna be honest, I'm
Better.
actually kind of excited for, because now I can make the ultimate Solar Warlock Battle Mercy build.
And your other armor mods are no longer going to be element locked, so you can actually put the really strong mods together.
Yeah, the Void Elemental mods being like the key ones. Those ones were
Yep.
fucking disgusting. And then Void Breach. Void breaches are created by a selection of new and existing void fragments and grant class ability energy on pickup. New Echo of Cessation. Finisher final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby enemies to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. Echo of Vigilance, which is also new. Defeating a target when your shields are depleted grants you a temporary void overshield. That's going to be disgusting with fucking Devour.
Yep.
Echo of Domineering now creates a void breach when defeating suppressed targets, which is literally all of them, in addition to its original effects. Echo of Harvest now creates a void breach when defeating weakened targets with precision damage, in addition to its original effects, also pretty strong. And Echo of Starvation now grants Devour on picking up a void breach. What the fuck? Void was already, in my opinion, probably the strongest of the light subclasses. Would you agree with that, Danny?
Void, especially for Warlock, hands down,
Well,
is the
and I would argue
strongest.
Void Titan. Void Titan
Yeah.
also pretty solid because despite the fact that Ward of Dawn technically got nerfed in PVE when that first came out, um, Void Titan got some pretty significant changes. And then we all know what happened to Void Hunter in PvP. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to move
Yeah.
on. But yeah,
Uh,
Void's going to be disgusting. Like,
Devour perfected inbound.
yeah, I'm never gonna not gonna have Devour like on my Warlock, like ever. Like it's gonna be there at all times because Warlock is still the only one that technically gets Devour, right?
Warlock is the only one that has the easiest activating Devour. The
Yeah,
other two can get it, but it required like picking up an orb of light or doing something very specific.
yeah, because old school Void Warlock was the only one that had Devour, right?
Yep.
And then of
Now they have
course,
the easiest uptime.
yeah, like you're never not gonna have Devour active, and if you're running a Void Warlock and not using Devour, you're fucking dumb. Like it's so fucking strong. It's
It's
so strong.
literally every time you get a kill with Devour, it fully heals you. Not gradual healing, it's full health.
Yeah, and it resets the timer.
Every kill.
Like every encounter, as long as you are getting a kill, you will stay in Devour.
It is so strong.
Yeah. And then in case you missed the build crafting update from a couple weeks back, we've also added ways for your subclass keywords to counter champions. So we already covered that. That was the one from last week, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So pretty solid. Overall, the blog post pretty nuts. Not gonna lie, pretty disgusting. Um, Yet again, Void is still probably the best subclass of all time. Shout out to all of you rocking Void. Um, Arc got shafted, but let's be real. When has Arc Warlock not been shafted? And then Solar got pretty significant changes. Though to be fair, Arc already had kind of that built into it with because they took the Warlock Ionic Traces and gave it to everybody because
Yep.
fuck Warlocks being special. Um, because it's in my opinion, I think Arc Hunters are kind of disgusting now with the Ionic Traces because
They kind of are.
as if you fuckers didn't move fast enough as it is already. Um,
Titans, though, is probably the scariest one with that.
well, yeah, Thunder Crash obviously can clear an entire map in seconds, so But still, pretty overall. I those are pretty solid changes. And I mean the new keywords I think are great. Fire Sprite and Void Breach are pretty solid. Uh, Titan Bubble being nerfed in PvP is phenomenal, and I think we can all thank Bungie.
Yep.
That was an
Solar Warlock eating good.
yeah. Warlocks for the first time ever are eating good. Um, because everything we love gets nerfed immediately into the ground.
Not
tell
wrong.
tell
It's
me
not
I'm wrong.
wrong.
Like
No, it's not wrong.
Chaos Reach was strong for 1 week. Silence and Squall
Nova
was strong
Warp
for
was
a
strong
whole
for
goddamn year before it got nerfed.
and it still really didn't, to be honest.
Yeah. Tell me Destiny didn't nerf Hunters without telling Destiny didn't nerf Hunters. Like, bruh.
And then we can both look at Titans until this bubble nerf. It took 3 years for them to even touch One-Eyed Mask. 3 years!
Yeah.
And they still didn't really nerf it. They just made other exotics that were stronger. Stares at Lorelai's that was unnerfed for like 2 months.
Oh my god. I don't even want to think about Lorelai's. Alright. Now we're going to get into the actual TWAB. We've already covered a bunch of it. Before we get into the heart of this week's TWAB, here's a brief recap of what we talked about in last week's. The Lightfall exotics, upcoming weapon changes. We kind of all covered that last week. If you didn't watch the video from earlier this week when we released it, I believe we released it on Monday. Looking at all of you on YouTube land. You. Yes, you.
There.
Watch the video, damn it! We're going to move in to the new stuff. Here's a brief overview, the summary of everything that's going to be in the TWAB here. On the latest strand details, diving into performance issues tied to latency, particularly in Crucible. Getting creeped out with the latest Creepy Crawly Festival of Lost Voting, and figuring out where we're going next in Trials of Osiris. Looking at the latest in Prime Gaming loot to snag. Taking a closer look at the visual effects integration of Strand and how that relates to Destiny. And previewing a few other snippets we think you should know. So, starting off, they're doing Bungie is doing a donation stuff for the earthquake that happened in southern Turkey near the Syrian border. Again, Bungie donation, Bungie Foundation doing what Bungie Foundation does. So, if you can, go support. Because Bungie loves helping the community and its people. So, always right in my book. You'll also get a special little emblem and go to kind of flex on people for providing human decency.
Yeah.
Next up is Every Day is Fly Day with Strand. Basically, long story short, you're gonna become Spider-Man.
The Strand abilities look really good.
Yeah. Now, again, we will not be watching the trailer as we normally don't watch the YouTube videos because otherwise these videos would be a lot longer than they already are. And let's be honest, Danny, how many 2-hour episodes do we have?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about in most of these.
Yeah, so if I
At
have
least
to watch...
leading up to Lightfall.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to watch, like, more videos. If you want to look at this stuff, the trailer's right here. We need to talk about latency. So latency in Crucible has been fucking atrocious.
Yes.
With connection because people cannot afford proper internet. Um, so they're gonna try to attempt to make the servers a little bit better. Is basically what I'm getting from this.
Also, probably going to be feeding in connection based matchmaking in more content, which is a plus because better connections usually lead to better games. And you don't have somebody killing you through a wall from the other side of the map.
Yeah, because how many times have we seen that in Trials, Danny?
A lot.
A lot.
It happens a lot.
Too much, way more than we'd like it to be. So that's nice. So and this graph basically is kind of breaking down exactly like the spikes in latency. It's basically around when major things are happening. Obviously, the spikes when the season starts, when certain events starts. Like right here, it's hard. I know it's hard to see for you guys in YouTube land watching the video, but this is when the dawning started. Here, dawning ends and Iron Banner starts. This is where Iron Banner ended, and then again, Iron Banner starts, and then the fix is deployed here. And then all these low points are crashes that happen literally right after
Yep.
because their servers can't handle it. So yeah, they're going to be fixing a lot of stuff. So for those of you in Crucible that have been bitching about latency, your pleas have been heard. They're going to try and work and fix on that. With great strand power comes great fashionability. So subclass agnostic legendary finishers. This is only 3 seconds. I guess I can play this.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's fancy. So you'll actually get like special coloring and stuff, subclass agnostic legendary finishers from 2020, 2021, and the 2022 Solstice armor sets. Oh,
Yeah,
hold
they
on.
look really good with Strand.
Wow, those look amazing. Oh my god, that looks amazing.
And they're also tweaking some other stuff that has visual cues as to what subclass you're using.
Yeah, also as a reminder of the Iron Banner armor is just so good. It's so
Really
good.
is.
Bring more of it back, please. Bring more
More
D1
D1
armor sets
armor.
back. So along with that is going to be the Ghost Fist Bump exotic emote, the and how the fuck do you say that word?
Antea swords.
Antea swords and ornaments, no backup plans and ornaments, and ghost projections. For those of you who prefer function over fashion, weird but alright, good news, the following armor and weapon perks will also be compatible with Strand. That will be Elemental Capacitor, Osmosis, Explosive Payload, Dragonfly, Cluster Bombs, Chain Reaction, Chromatic Fire's Crystalline Transistor, Mantle of Battle Harmony's Absorption Cells, the Bombardier's Parting Gift, Verity Brow's The Fourth Magic, Fellwinter's Helms, Warlord's End. What the fuck? These are all Warlock!
Yeah.
Why did
Warlock's
they mention...
actually
Warlock has like all of the... Here, you want to just have a
elemental based.
generic
Yeah.
fucking exotic? Congratulations! Here, this will work with every class because their class-specific exotics all fucking suck.
Warlocks actually do have probably the most neutral game exotics.
Which, well, and that's part of the because let's be honest, Warlock exotics, like there are very few that are good for subclasses, and if they are, they're too good, and then they get nerfed immediately. I'm looking at you, Skull, and I'm looking at you, Geomags. So I would also agree, yeah, like, cause I'm gonna be honest, Verity's Brow is not a bad helmet.
It's in a lot of in-game builds.
Yeah, like being able to throw more grenades is allowing you
And
to
do
throw
more
more
damage.
grenades. Yeah, Mantle of Battle Harmony is like my go-to one for arc and stasis. Cause
You
fun
just get
fact,
your super back fast.
yeah, Mantle of Battle Harmony works with stasis because it doesn't say light subclass; it says any subclass. So yeah, that's nice. Fellwinter's Helm.
3 debuffs.
Yeah, like it's solid. Chromatic Fire is still dog shit. I'm sorry, it's still a dog shit exotic. It will forever be garbage.
Just get Dragonfly or Firefly. Just get a weapon with one of those, and that's it.
I know. And
They're just
then,
better.
yeah. But overall, to see them actually like work with Strand is going to be really cool. Uh, so yeah, and then more obviously more transmogs and perks and stuff are going to be showing up. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh
Does
yeah,
this update resonate with you? Some early warning for folks looking to prepare for weapon crafting in Lightfall. As part of an initiative to integrate weapon crafting into the broader core economy, we will completely remove resonant elements from the game. Standard currencies such as glimmer, enhancement cores, etc. will replace the element costs that exist today. We will also be removing the deep sight attunement objective altogether. Resonant and harmonic alloys will still be used at launch. However, we are planning to overhaul these currencies later in the Lightfall year. Ascendant alloys will remain as it is for now. So, I think that's actually a really big talking point that we need to talk about because I have like a shit ton of resonant elements.
yeah.
So I'm curious as to what they're going to allow us to buy with them if we don't use them.
I think they might be doing the same route that they've been doing with other stuff they've been removing and just allow us to trade those for Glimmer.
Glimmer, I would, what I'd really like to see is allow us to trade resonant elements in for resonant and harmonic alloys.
It would be nice to have like some kind of conversion for them.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be honest. Like we all have like several stacks or like several thousand resonant elements. I would like to see, the ability to transfer those into the alloys, since obviously the alloys are still going to be there at launch, whereas the resin elements will not. And then obviously, uh, as they start to phase the alloys out, you can change them into the ascendant alloys as they will be staying for quite some time. Which
I
in my
am
that makes sense.
I am very glad that they seem to be trying to make weapon crafting more approachable. Because right now, it's really not.
Yeah, because the biggest issue that I have with weapon crafting is unless you started at the end game already, like if you've gone through every single expansion, right, and you started off right, so when Witchfall first drops, right, when Witch Queen first dropped, right, and we all got build crafting for the first time, the majority of the people that like were grinding all that shit hardcore were the people that have been playing, for a while. So we already had all the shit that we needed beforehand, so we could just get straight into the new shit. So the fact that they're removing it because it was so hard for people who got Witch Queen for Christmas or got that shit.
Started playing for the first time.
Yeah, they were so far behind everything, right? They didn't have any of the shit from Shadowkeep. They didn't have any of the things from Beyond Light. They didn't have uh anything. So trying to get all that
And
was kind of a pain in the ass.
and all the deep sight stuff, just if you haven't been playing the game and don't know what you're doing in the game, that deep sight stuff is going to make absolutely no sense
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah, and honestly, I actually enjoyed that change more all over like better overall than anything else because for those of you that don't know or that are new to the channel, the way that deep sight works is that you get a what's known as a red border weapon, and you need to either get kills or complete missions slash objectives with that weapon to get the pattern for it or to get the attunement for it, which then you can unlock a portion of the pattern to craft said weapon. Normally, on average, it's roughly between 4 to 5 times that you get that same weapon with a pattern in order to do it. So now that you will no longer have to fucking grind out like 4 or 5 goddamn weapons, which overall honestly doesn't take too much time. I've grinded a whole pattern within a week. Not even a week, probably within a day.
Yeah, like
But
if you get enough of the red borders, like since they made the change where as soon as you get a red border, you could just dismantle it and it still count for progress.
yeah,
Like it's much easier. But I think if they just remove that and like after you just get one of them, it gives you the pattern. It would be nice.
yeah,
Probably be the most approachable.
and here's the thing: is that I think a good trade-off because I think you should still grind it a little bit. Is that instead of dismantling it, you should still have to, finish the attunement. And then once it's done, Once that one is done, you don't need to do any more. Like, it's just there. You have it. You no
Or
longer need it.
like every level you get on a deep sight weapon gives you a level on the crafted one.
And I think that would also make a lot more sense. Because again, it's all because honestly, this right here is all about the casual player base, which
Yeah.
Danny and I both love. And so this is a very, very, very good change.
This-
Overall.
That's like one of the big complaints that I have with the crafted weapon system is to get most of the enhanced perks on the weapons, you have to grind like
First, you have to grind the pattern.
14 levels.
Yeah, you have to grind the pattern. Then you have to shape. Once you have the pattern, then you have to take the pattern and grind it.
Yep.
And then you get the weapon. You shape the weapon, and then you have to grind again.
Yep. Because you start out with like one or two barrels, one or two perks in each slot you can choose from, and that's it.
Yeah, so
It's not super approachable.
yeah, it's going to be a lot more favorable for newer players, which again, I'm happy about. I'm glad that they are making that change. Along with that, a prime day for some prime gaming. Guardians, it's time. Time to snag some extra gear for your Lightfall adventures. This time, it's going to be Sunshot, the exotic hand cannon, the solar exotic hand cannon, and Red Dwarf, the Sunshot weapon ornament, which just kind of gives it like a Charles of Osiris kind of vibe to it. Along with that, you'll get the Jotuneer exotic sparrow, which is basically just Jotun. That's it. It's just Jotun.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all it is.
yeah, you're going to get a ghost projection and an additional surprise, which is not listed here. So I will be interested to see what that surprise will be. I'm hoping that it is Bright Dust, but
Yeah.
one
Also,
can pray.
them giving away Sunshot before Lightfall. If you don't have it, grab it. Sunshot's gonna be really good. It's getting subclass 3.0 stuff baked into it.
Yeah, because it applies Scorch.
Good hand cannon.
Yeah, it is a very, very, very good cannon. Though I'm not gonna lie, Danny. If I said that if you wanted a solar hand cannon, just get Ariana's Vow instead.
True, but Sunshot has infinite ammo,
This is true. This is also very
and
true.
it is technically the first like gun that was in the game that had incandescent.
This is also true. So very, very interesting. So please make sure that if you don't have Twitch Prime, you should get it. Again, you get basically free shit every month. I enjoy all the free shit I get. They literally just give you free shit.
They give good stuff for free. Like,
Yeah, on average, you normally get a Sparrow / ship, you get a Ghost projection, and you always get a weapon and some form of weapon ornament for the most part.
yeah, it's basically a free exotic literally every time.
Yeah, like if you don't have it and you're a newer player, Twitch Prime is the greatest way to start amassing exotics because once they release an exotic for a Prime, with a Prime capsule, it normally doesn't come around for a while. So you'll always get something new. And if you are a player that that's been playing the game for a while and you haven't, for example, you haven't been playing for a while, or you've had let's say you've had a Sunshot in your bank but you haven't leveled it up, you've got like a 1350 Sunshot, you'll now get one at level, so you don't even need to use an upgrade module for it. It's there. Now, if they could just move the kill counters from one to the other, that would be phenomenal. Because I know a lot of us have kill counters on our weapons. I'm looking at you, Forerunner. My Forerunner already has like 3k kills. So we asked, you answered, and things got creepy crawly. So it was the Spiders versus Beetles for Festival of the Lost gear. And a lot of people voted on this. A lot of people voted. It was it's probably one of the biggest votes that we've seen in a while, Danny.
It was pretty packed.
I mean, it was on par with the Dinos and Mechs from last year, which, by the way, also phenomenal armor sets.
That
Um,
being said, this one was way more lopsided.
yeah, Hunters, 56% voted on Team Spider. Titans voted on Team Spider with a 72%, and Warlocks broke the mold altogether with by voting on Team Beetle, which, I'm not gonna lie, it's because Team Beetle looks better than Team Spider for Warlocks. So of course Warlocks are gonna vote on Team Beetle because it looks
Uh,
fucking better for us.
the Titans literally basically won the whole thing single-handed.
Yeah. So as for trials, Radiant Cliffs won with a 44% total vote. So that will be that. And then player support, the Destiny content vault update, a lot of stuff getting, just taken care of. They've mentioned that and stuff that is going to be getting vaulted. The expansion content will no longer be added to the DCV. Players can expect all season 16 through 19 content to enter this DCV, excluding the season 16 PsyOps battlegrounds and the season 19 Heist battlegrounds, which will instead be added to the Vanguard Ops playlist beginning in season 20.
Yeah,
So that's a really, in my opinion, that's actually a pretty solid change because, I'm not going to lie, I actually thought the PsyOps Battlegrounds and Heist Battlegrounds playlists were actually really fun. I thought they were super cool. The Heist Battlegrounds, for those of you that didn't play last season, were the Plunder Battlegrounds. Or no, not Plunder. Yeah, Plunder, right?
out of the seasonal events, I like the PsyOps Battlegrounds and the Heist Battlegrounds a little bit better than the Expeditions and let's see what was the other one?
Season 17's, which was Season of the Haunted, which neither one of
Oh, the
us,
Nightmare. Yeah, the Nightmare Containments.
yeah, which none of us liked. They were all fucking ass. Great for lore, gameplay wise, it sucked.
it's just a public event times three.
Yeah. So, but honestly, the Cyber Battlegrounds and the Heist Battlegrounds being added to the Vanguard Ops playlist is really nice. Because I'm not gonna lie, this season had probably, in my opinion, the shittiest fucking the shittiest strike mission playlist we have ever seen. It was so fucking bad. Like, how many times did you get, Danny? Did you get fucking the Techian?
The odd thing is, I've only done like the Vanguard playlist maybe like 4 or 5 times this season.
Yeah, I did it a bunch at the very beginning of the season, and I got Techian 3 times in a row, and I stopped because that fucking mission sucks
This is the
so
first
much.
like season in a while that I have not reset my Vanguard reputation once. I've actually reset my Crucible reputation twice this season.
Yeah. With the launch of Lightfall on in February 28th, it will transition from year 5 to year 6. At this time, certain items will become deprecated and no longer available to use. For a list of those items, click here. I'm not going to do that, but it's pretty simple. Just go look at it.
Yeah.
I apologize for wiping my nose. It's very, very, very itchy right now. Along with that, there are a bunch of known issues, including lever penalty stuff, visual effects from Symmetry, perk Revolution, uh, push the objective Crucible bounty, not gaining progress, daily Crucible bounties, not being completed when Iron Banner is active. Oh my god, that sucks. And the requirements for the completion of the Week 9 Icy Singularity Seasonal Challenge are incorrectly listed in the description. So, yeah, fuck PvP. Literally this entire season.
That's basically been what it has been.
Yeah. Nothing artificial about this week's picks. Uh, they also talked about the AR art, which, by the way, was. That.
Overall, panned by the player base and the community.
Yeah, fucking hysterical. Friends that join in talking about, names and submissions and stuff like that. A bunch of stuff. So, and then we're going to get into some of the posts. This one by Aslar. Get to know Ikora's secret group of guardians and what they have accomplished in this YouTube Shorts. Talking about, what are their names again?
Hidden.
The Hidden. Yeah, basically they're warlock ninjas. Along with that, this is Golden Enforcer. The talking about the birthplace of the Vile Grand Master. Grandmaster Nightfall, which took 8 minutes and 47 seconds. That's a pretty decent time.
That's pretty good time because that's a long strike.
That is, yeah, that strike sucks. That strike is fucking annoying as shit.
It is too long.
Too goddamn long. It's too goddamn long. Sometimes you just need a little wholesome in your life. Oh, am I about to cry from what I'm about to see? I am. Oh my god. From Pliff Pliff on Twitter, they are dating, and it is the worm and the moth.
That's pretty good.
That's a cute little Twitter post. They're sharing a little beachy vibe. Along with that, Kevin Rages talking about Osiris just rocking out on a strand violin.
Yep.
That is going to be my entire mood.
For those of you who have not seen the little Strand trailer, they basically showed Osiris is our Strand vendor.
Because Osiris does not give a fuck.
I'm so happy they made him the vendor for Strand. Because he doesn't have the light anymore. So now he has the darkness.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense lore-wise. But seeing him rock out on the violin is pretty dope. Like that's a whole ass mood. That's just straight up mood / vibe. And that is it for the TWAB. So not a very big TWAB. Again, much bigger on the blog post, but overall pretty solid amount of info this week. We are going to get one more TWAB next week.
Yep.
And no, hold on, because that will be, what day will that be? That will be the 16th?
17th. So we actually have 2 more TWABs before Lightfall.
Well, no, because the TWAB will be released on Thursday. We'll most likely get 16th to it on
and then
17th.
the 23rd.
Yeah, so we'll technically get two more TWABs. We will get 2 more. God damn, my nose is itchy as shit.
So and then Lightfall drops the 28th.
Yeah. So we'll get 2 more TWABs. And these next 2 TWABs are... I'm looking forward to them and not looking forward to them at the same time, Danny. I'm looking forward to them because new content. I'm not looking forward to them because 2-hour-long fucking episodes.
This is all depending on if they have any more major, like...
Oh, they're going to.
Changes.
They're going to, because I predict the next 2... Because I predict the next 2 TWABs are going to be... I predict the last TWAB before Lightfall is going to be the big ability drop, where they let, like, everybody know what you're going to be able to do on what class. I predict next TWAB is probably going to be... I'm going to make a prediction that it is going to be all of the exotic catalysts that they're going to be releasing.
It'll be interesting because I think we're going to probably get some tweaks to it, possibly some exotic armor tweaks.
I really hope so, because in my opinion, a lot of the Warlock exotics are fucking trash.
Also, those fragments being added, they're probably going to have to tweak some of the armor to synergize with it a little bit, since some of them involve, very specific actions that have been changed.
Yeah. There's a lot of them that are going to need a giant overhaul. Actually, that's a pretty good... I mean, what is that your prediction for next week? Is all of the exotic armor tweaks?
I think next week's probably going to be the exotic armor tweaks, maybe some hints on the catalysts.
I would like to see that. I would like to see more info on the twin-tailed fox catalyst. Because I'm very excited about that because when was the last time you saw one of those be used, Danny?
I was using it. It's the last time that I saw one being used.
And when was that, Danny?
That was when let's see, remember the raid Crown of Sorrow? That raid? That that was the last time that I saw it being used because it was actually a decent DPS option.
Oh my god. That's like years, isn't it?
It's been a while.
Because the last time I used Twin Tailed Fox uh, was never.
Because Crown was the last like raid that was vaulted, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. Huh? That would make sense. So, but overall, a lot of really good stuff, and I'm really looking forward to these next two TWABs. With that being said, Danny, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube under the same name.
You can also find me on Twitch and YouTube at Domini Fox or on Twitter at Domini Fox1. I am currently watching Record of Ragnarok, and I have some very strong opinions about that show that I will be posting. So stay tuned on that because I am in fact weeb trash. uh, so yeah, and I will definitely be tweeting a lot of stuff about Lightfall. And I may or may not post a clip of Spider Manning nonstop because I want a Spider Man through King's Fall. So I think that's gonna be really fucking fun. With that being said, thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We both hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, don't be a sweat lord. We'll catch you guys later.